Disclaimer: this video is AI generated for infotainment only. Data sourced from the internet. AI may hallucinate. Verify all facts independently.
One afternoon, few hundred people in a single room. Show of hands. By the time it is over, the most powerful person in the state, the one who runs the government, commands the ministry, speaks for tens of millions, either still holds the office or has lost it completely. Not decided by the governor, not settled behind closed doors, decided in the open, on the floor of the assembly. In 1994, the Supreme Court made that the law of the land, the governor is the head of the state. But this is the person who actually runs it. Chapter 31, the Chief Minister. Every Indian state runs on the same parliamentary design as the center. In that design, there are two heads, not one. The governor is the head of the state on paper, what the law calls the de jure executive, the title. But the real power, the de facto executive, belongs to the chief minister, the head of the government. The person who actually decides. It is the same split you saw at the center, a president who signs and a prime minister who rules. In the state, the chief minister is that prime minister. So how do you become one? Here the constitution is almost silent. Article 164 says, only this the chief minister shall be appointed by the governor. Nothing more. But the governor is not free to pick anyone. By the unwritten rules of the parliamentary system, the governor must call the leader of the majority party in the assembly. When one party has a clear majority, there is no choice at all. That leader becomes chief minister. The trouble begins when no one has a majority, a hung assembly. Now the governor's discretion wakes up, and we saw in the last chapter how dangerous that can be. The governor invites the leader of the largest party or coalition and tells them to prove their majority on the floor, usually within a month. The office has some strange doors. You can be sworn in as chief minister before you have proved you hold a majority at all. The test comes after. You can be appointed even if you are not yet a member of the legislature, though you then have just 6 months to win a seat or you lose the office. You can sit in either house of the state legislature, not only the elected assembly. Ahead, who the chief minister really is, how the office is won, and the one thing that holds it up. Because all of this power rests on a single foundation. The floor. Part 2. Everything about this office comes down to one place. The floor of the house. On paper, the chief minister holds office during the pleasure of the governor, that word again, pleasure. But it does not mean what it did for the governor's own term. A chief minister cannot be dismissed as long as they command a majority in the assembly. Hold the numbers and the office is yours. Lose them and it is over. You must resign or be dismissed. Here is the question that tore through Indian politics for decades. Who decides whether you still have the numbers? In 1994, 9 judges of the Supreme Court gave the final answer. Not the governor, not a quiet report sent to Delhi. The majority must be tested on the floor of the house in the open by a vote. It is why to this day a contested government ends in a dramatic floor test, sometimes at midnight and not in a governor's drawing room. So what does the chief minister who holds that floor actually command? Start with the ministry. The governor appoints ministers, but only the ones the chief minister recommends. The chief minister hands out the portfolios and can reshuffle them at will, can ask a minister to go, presides over the council and steers its decisions. The deepest power is the quiet one. The whole council hangs on the chief minister alone. If another minister resigns, it leaves a vacancy. But if the chief minister resigns, the entire council of ministers falls with them. One office holds up the rest. The reach goes further. The chief minister is the single channel between the government and the governor, bound by the constitution to report every decision of the council and to answer for it. The chief minister advises the governor on calling and closing the assembly, can recommend its dissolution and announces the government's policy on the floor. Beyond the state, chief spokesperson, crisis manager when disaster strikes, a seat on the national councils that tie the states to the center, and the leader of the ruling party itself. On paper, one of the most powerful offices a person can hold in India. Yet, there is a leash. for all of it, the chief minister still shares a capital with the governor who holds those discretionary powers we traced in the last chapter. To reserve a bill, to recommend president's rule, to test the floor, each one trims the chief minister's authority at the edges. The head of the government and the agent of the center in one building. The tension never fully leaves. So that is the chief minister. The real executive of the state, the engine that drives it, but an engine that runs only as long as it holds the floor. Remember 3 things. The chief minister is the de facto ruler, where the governor is only the de jure head, appointed by the governor but truly chosen by the assembly's majority. Held up by one thing alone, the confidence of the house tested in the open. But no chief minister rules alone. Around that one office stands a whole team, the ministers who actually run the departments of the state. Next time, chapter 32, the State Council of Ministers,